Hey, Shalom. Call Allah Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Kahagadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives to do so. And to the scattered hopeful elect across the four corners of the earth, and those among the heathen nations that look like the heathen nations pursuant to Jeremiah 12 and 9, known as the speckled birds. This is not a black thing. We don't teach that, nor have we ever taught that. Okay, this is a lineage. All right, if an Israelite could look like somebody else of a different nation, but through the spirit resonates with our spirit, that person is an Israelite. Okay, and they understand what the truth of the scriptures means. So I am disciple of Parium, a follower of Great Millstone, coming to you with a lesson in truth and sincerity. And this lesson is going to go into we all live up to our names. And so this is kind of a Hebrew lesson as well, going into finding the meanings behind each letter and creating a story behind that. Okay? So with that, I want to start off with Ecclesiastes 7, verse 1. It says, a good name is better than precious ointment in the day of death than the day of one's birth. And that name goes into the word Shem, which is Strong's H8034. And when you look at the etymology, it goes into an appellation, which is a descriptive and therefore specific term by implication, honor, authority, and character. Now, what you see below you is Professor Raniel Ramos. He's holding what is called the Awebana stone, one of 800 stones that were found in the island of Borinquen, or as you know it, as Puerto Rico. And this is the tribe of Ephraim, okay? Which just goes into the word Aparium, which we'll get into that later on. But let's see if I can go ahead and pull up. So this is the article where I got that. It's called Fireside Keepers. And so I wanted to look into this right here. And you look into the word Hebrew, right? And so we know that the people of the mountains call themselves Jibaros, okay? But on top of that, the Tainos, here it says, here it is right here. It says, one example of the Taino name for the supreme spirit of spirits. They say, Ya, Ya. It says, by comparison, it says the power of the monotheistic Hebrew culture is known as the abbreviated form of his sacred name. Here it says Yah, but we know the real name is Yahweh. Okay? And so these, these stones, again, they were verified in the Levant region. I forgot what university it talks about it in this article, which I'm going to include. So y'all could read this. It's been out for quite some time now. But Dr. Rene Rodriguez has a lot of studies in this field, and it's a lot of proof that shows who we are. As we know, we're not just Tainos, but we're also, all the lost tribes of Israel, right? So, let's see. Just bear with me for a second. All right. So this is the chart that I'll be going off of. Now I want to go into Proverbs 22:1. A good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. Now I want to go into Genesis 41:52. This is where you first see Ephraim. And the name of the second called he Ephraim, for power hath caused me to be fruitful in the land of my affliction. Now, and it's kind of twofold because when you look at it today, we are fruitful. It's a beautiful island. Um, you can grow just about anything there. It's very rich, but we're under colonialism, and it's the oldest colony in the world, right? And that colonialism is under Babylon, all right? And again, we know that word Borinquen goes into the house of the great and valiant Lord, okay? And that Lord is Yahweh. And you saw how they called that their God Yah, okay? So when you go into that, the word affliction, at that time was going into the land of Egypt, right? And it goes into the word Strong's H 4714 is Matazariyam, right? Which is double straits, double hardships, right? Now I want to go to the book of Baruch 2 and 30. I'm just going to read it from my sword right here. It says, "For I know that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves, and shall know that I am the Lord their power. For I will give them an heart and ears to hear. And they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name, and return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds. For they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord. And I will bring them again in the land in which I promised with an oath under their fathers, says Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. Okay, and see, it's a cut to these small hats right there because, they weren't put into the land of their Lord. All right, the only way they got into there was by way of the Balfour Declaration, which is a man-made declaration. It has nothing to do with the scriptures. Okay. And on top of that, you got the Havara Agreement too, which they made with the Zionist Party. In 1933, well before the war was even finished, to transfer their riches and their funds for their evil cabal. Verse 35. This is back in Baruch chapter 2. And I will make them an everlasting covenant with them, to be their power, and they shall be my people, and I will no more derive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. All right. And again, another cut because they're not under that covenant. They don't have the new bodies. They still sin. All right. They don't fit these prophecies. You need to start waking up. So go to Genesis 49. And 22. And it reads, Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall. And when you get that word fruitful, in Strong's H6509 in his para, it says to bear, bring forth, grow, and increase. It's twofold. Within family, they have a lot of kids, right? But also fruitful within the land again. The Tainos were very skilled farmers growing into the hillsides, and they had a method of growing into the hillsides that would, prevent strong winds whenever they had huracans, right, or hurricanes. But then that word bow is Strong's H1121, and that word bow goes into ban, or a son, member of a group, people of nation, a member of a guild, order, class. Okay, and they were very noble people, even on the island. They traded. They went all over Central America. They were actually very skilled, um, boatsmen. Even the word canoe comes from canoa, right? And so that word Ephraim go back to show you the spelling. And it's Aparayam, and this is the Assyrian text. And you see below has the Assyrian, but also has the Paleo Hebrew as well. So number one, the first letter is going to go into right, which goes into the word. You could zoom in later on, but it goes into God, Creator, first, strength, leader, Lord, King, and sovereign, right? But again, going to Borinquen, which is house of the great and valiant Lord. So I chose valiant leader. Okay. So basically, that word valiant is brave, determined, moral strength. And then number two, the second letter was Pa, which is mouth, speak, open. And I chose speech because, we were very outspoken people. And, even to this day, you saw the Super Bowl. Bad Bunny didn't. He told everything what goes on. But we're still here. It says seguimos aquí. And then the third letter is Ra. This is the highest, most important person. So I chose the word head, which is part of the Northern Tribe, and and then also going to most influence. All right, and then the fourth letter was Ya, which is work, hand, activity, or deed. And the word deed, that which is done, acted, or performed. Okay, and the last letter, Salakia, was a Ma. So that goes to the water, chaos, disorder, strength, mighty. Also goes within Messiah or Hamashiach, all right, or Mashiach, Salakia, which is anointed, King of Israel. So when I put it together, I was thinking of the valiant leader in speech, most influenced, in chaos. And that chaos is going to be sanctioned by Messiah and Mashiach. So I wanted to read Isaiah 11 and 14. And I'm going to read up a little bit to you. I'm going to start from 12. So it says, and he shall set an ensign, or a sign or a banner, flag for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, or Yasharallah, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The envy of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not vex Ephraim. It says, but they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines towards the west. All right, who's the modern Philistines, right? And that's going to be here in Babylon. It says, they shall spoil them of the east together, and they shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. So again, going to the house of the great, the house of the great and valiant Lord, the valiant leader in speech, most influence in chaos. This will be sanctioned from Mashiach. So wait, I pray this lesson was edifying. Abba Ball. Salaki, you know what? I want to finish off in Revelations 3 and 5. It says, he that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. So that name here goes into the word onoma, right? And it reminds me of Apostle Gabar going to the word, the Latin saying called nomen omen, which is the name is a sign, or name is a omen, revealing of one's character, fate, or future, right? So that to predict, and so that's what what's going to happen right now. It's that Isaiah 11 and 14 is going to come to pass, okay? And we're going to be coming together, all the tribes. So with that, pray this lesson was edifying. Abba Ball, Kwam Yasharallah, Shalom, Shalom.